Good evening, everyone. I am Saul Aronovitch, and welcome to Journey Through the Veil. So, I actually want to talk about something that Natalie's been going through this past week. And although she had a question for me, which she was really wanting to know the answer for, which is basically how do you manage to go through university at the same time as the full time job and the family and the kids? And basically an insane load throughout the day and even in the early evening. How do you still manage to take on something like university courses late at night? For me, I had done my master's recently. I just graduated this past May, and I took on um, doing the master's, which took actually 2 years to do, 2 years and 1 month, 2 years and one semester. So 7 semesters straight. And I did it literally without stopping. No breaks, just go, go, go from start to finish. Now there's a much longer story behind that, but we could save that for other times. But basically, how did I manage to do that? How did I survive? How did I juggle everything? How is it possible that I was able to take on a full-time university at a master's level with a full-time job, a full-time family, and basically not go insane or try and um, do anything irrational? So how did I do it? So this little podcast this week is about understanding your own limits, understanding what you're capable of, juggling your own understanding of things, to be able to take on something as heavy as a university degree in such a short time with such a crazy load. Now, of course, we can apply this to anything in life, not just university. We're sometimes overwhelmed with so many different things, and we wonder, is it possible? How can we manage everything that we need to do, still maintain a strong head on your shoulders, still give a smile, and still, keep yourself going, and despite all the heaviness that happens? So let me start off by saying it was not easy. Not at all. It was actually extremely difficult. Many times I wanted to give up. Many times I was trying to figure myself out. And just really, oh man, it was so hard. It was really, really hard. I'm not going to lie. Very hard. So how did I manage to get through it? So there's a few things. First off, I really had to learn my own limits, my own limitations, what I'm capable of. And I mean that in such a way where it's learning about, for example, um, when your body knows that it wants to sleep, when your body knows that it's time to wake up. So you actually know, your body knows the hour that it's time to sleep and when you wake up. So your body knows when it's nighttime and it knows when it's daytime. It actually, you can feel the difference. You do feel different in the day compared to the evening. So your body understands this. So there's a trick though, because what you can do is if you are able to narrow the gap between when your body assumes it's nighttime and when your body assumes it's daytime, if you can narrow that gap, then that is the moment you can actually give yourself to sleep. For me, it's 45 minutes from about 3:15 in the morning until 4 a.m. So from 3:15 in the morning to 4 a.m., at 3:15, my body assumes that it's nighttime, and at 4 a.m., my body assumes that it's daytime. So I learned this through practice, through awareness of when you feel fatigued, if you've had to ever pull all-nighters, to when you need to wake up early in the morning. And so what I did was I learned that gap. I learned how to narrow that gap. So for example, I would go to sleep at 2 a.m. and then wake up at 4, for example. There's a 2-hour window. You keep on going past your 2 o'clock, your 3 o'clock. And once you get to a certain point, if you've ever pulled an all-nighter, you know there's a switch. You know mentally and physically there's actually a switch that happens in your body. If you can pinpoint that moment, everybody's different. So for me, as I said, it's about 3:15. So if I know I need to pull all-nighters, take long nights for my homework and my assignments, I will push myself up until about 3:15, give myself that 45-minute nap. Well, it's a nap, but it's really sleep. And then wake up at 4 to keep it going again. In those 45 minutes of sleep, you can make yourself believe that you have had the best sleep ever. So how do you do this? As you're going to sleep, you speak to yourself, you talk to yourself, and you say, this is going to be the best night ever. I am going to get the best sleep I've ever had. And you repeat this over and over and over again until you fall asleep. Also, when you're in that state of repeating and going to sleep and giving yourself the pep talk of how much of a great sleep you're going to have, you will also say to yourself that you're going to wake up at a particular hour. I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. feeling wonderful. I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. feeling wonderful, feeling great, feeling like I had the best sleep ever. You repeat this like a mantra over and over and over again. Practice it, and you will see you'll be able to do it. Now, I don't advocate for, obviously, pulling all-nighters and crazy hours of sleep, but it happens every now and then. It has worked for me. And what it allowed me to do was make myself feel that I've gotten that wonderful amount of sleep. So then to be able to keep on going, now I can't do that nonstop. I know for me, I'm good for about 5 days of doing this. On the 6th day, I need a full night's rest without an alarm the next day. And I don't normally sleep 14 hours. For me, it's usually about 5 to 6 hours, and then I feel the reset again. Everybody's different. So that's one thing. The second thing is, unfortunately, sometimes when we have an overwhelmingly heavy day, a lot of activity, a lot of things to take care of, a lot of obligation, and then, in my case, 9 p.m. comes around, and then it's time to start university. How do you get the motivation to start university at such a late hour when everybody else is going to sleep and relaxing and winding down, and you feel that you're stuck having to take this on? First off, I chose it. So that's the first thing. Because I chose it, there's no excuse. I need to keep it going. So the first thing I say to myself is, I chose this. Therefore, I have no choice. I chose it. Therefore, I have no choice. A bit of a pep talk, a little bit of a whip to keep it going. But then here's the other thing. How do you keep that motivation going day in and day out? I personally really, really and truly enjoy the early morning hours, just when the sun is coming up. The beauty about that time is that it's just about the time where the trees are releasing the oxygen. And if you're up at that hour in the morning, and you go outside, it's silence, it's calming, the air is fresh and it's crisp and it feels new. And here you are breathing this in. It's a wonderful experience. So after pulling an all-nighter in the morning at that time, you go outside, you get your boost again. But that hour and that time what it also does for me is there's an emotional connection that I have to nature and to silence. But that same experience also translates at night. You see, at 9 o'clock at night, everybody is sleeping. Now, I could say and think, oh, I really would like to get my sleep because I'm so tired. But after saying, no, I don't have a choice, what do? When everybody is gone to sleep, and now I have to kick into my university mindset, doing essays and reading and writing, I stop just for a moment and I listen. What am I listening for? I'm listening for the silence, the beautiful, beautiful silence, that calming, meditative state of absolute silence, because everybody is sleeping or wound down. And in my case, it's very active. When everybody's awake, including me, I'm also very active, a lot happening. But when everybody is down, the mindset changes, the environment changes, the sound changes. You could literally hear the pin drop before it even drops. It's that crisp. And I love that. I love that feeling. So I harness that emotion that I'm receiving, even though it's a late hour. I harness that emotion of this pure and utter enjoyment of silence. And it brings my energy down. It brings my anxieties down to a manageable level, to a calming level. Not a tired state, but a revived state, because I'm now in the same emotional feelings that I have at 5 a.m., but this time it's not at night. So it brings my energy up. It raises my motivation, because now I'm feeling this utter silence and power that I truly enjoy. So to keep it going, because obviously the physical body fights, you might want to sleep. So how do you counter that? What I do, I'll put on certain music that I like. I'll put on a movie that I like in the background, just something far off in the distance, not too overpowering. Make some popcorn, dress it up the way I like it that nobody else does. You give yourself little treats because you know your limits. You know what you can and cannot do. You know what your body is able to do and not able to do. And you're actually really and truly paying attention, and you're aware of how it reacts to the different things that are happening. I haven't even started my studies yet. This is the preparation. I don't spend that much time doing it because I've already done this so much, so I know already for me. But for you, as you go through it, practice kind of understanding where your limitations are, where the emotional change happens, what happens during that change within your physical body and your mental state of awareness, the reasoning behind how you convince yourself to keep going or to pull yourself back. So I set myself up, movie, popcorn, silence, getting ready to start at 9:30 p.m., knowing I'm going to do this easily until 2:33 a.m., and that I need to wake up at 4 to start my day again. So I know, personally, if I'm going to be doing it that late at night, my reading is a bit difficult. I don't usually read at that hour. I take on my reading more in the earlier hours, but that's my writing hour. I find myself, I would say in one sense, unfortunate that my creative part of me really shines at that hour, most probably because of, as they said, the silence and preparation. So my creative side really comes through. But I can't type at that hour efficiently. One, it's tiring. Two, the brain function is more mechanical as opposed to creative, because and I can type without looking at the keyboard. But if I make a mistake or spelling, I'm deleting, I'm undoing, I'm reading, I'm rereading because I'm looking at the screen, it throws off my rhythm. If that is my creative hour, then I don't want to be fiddling around with the keyboard. So I dictate my assignments. I dictate my essay. I'll have the book literally in one hand and I'll just go. I'll press the record button and I'll just go. The dictate button on my word processing program, whichever one I use at the time, and I just go. And I'll speak it, and I'll speak it, and I'll speak it. And I kid you not, the amount of pages that comes out of me that are coherent and proper, of course, there's editing, but the important thing is getting it out. And so it comes out, and it comes out, and I'm able to produce a 15-page essay in 2 days. That's just by speaking. So if I have to deal with essays, and I'll tell you another time, we'll talk to you another time a little bit more about my experience of how did I crunch sometimes even 5 courses in one semester. How did I manage all the assignments? That I can save for another time. But here, I'm speaking it, I'm sending it out, and it's just coming out. The flow is happening because I know my limitation when it comes to typing. Know your limitation with whatever it is you're doing and bypass it through something that is your strength. For me, I'm able to communicate clearly through speech, faster, and much more proper, like I said, as opposed to typing an essay. Because I can just go, I close my eyes, I'm pacing, I'm walking back and forth. I touch the plants, or I go outside, even if I bring my laptop outside, if it's a warm day. Otherwise, I'll just be walking back and forth in my room where I do my assignments, and it'll just go. At that hour, I most certainly will not be doing any correcting, maybe light editing, periods and commas and whatever else, citations, and I save my correcting for daytime hour, which sometimes I'll do on a 45-minute bus ride because now it's more technical and it's a bit easier to do when I'm more awake. So that's something that I've managed to do to help me out when it comes to the studies. I would say, and I'll end with this one, I would say anything that you need to do that you know is going to be difficult, before you start that task, understand your actual limitations in all the bodies. Physical body, for one, is your physical body capable of standing, of being awake, or you just crash, even though you're trying and you're trying and you're trying and you just crash? Then that particular thing doesn't work for you, but there are other ways, and we'll talk more about those. At the emotional level, I had to convince myself, you can do it, Saul, you can do it. You chose this, therefore you have no choice. But I want to make it fun. I want to make it engaging. So I created my scenario. I pulled out the parts that I truly love, the silence and the expression of the environment around me. Even at the long night, the overnight hours, it brought out the joy. That alone allowed me to be more awake, first of all, and more connected to what I was writing. My mental state of awareness, the clarity, that's a tough one. Clarity at that hour when you're fogged because of all the craziness that you went through, and now you have to write a strong, elaborate essay. Clarity in the mind. I even took 20-minute meditations or 15-minute meditations, sometimes even 5-minute meditation. But I set an alarm, a nice little alarm in case I fell asleep by accident, which I didn't usually. But I knew how many minutes I can do meditation before I went too far. So clarity, reasoning, the intellectual level. What did I do for this? As I mentioned, I don't have a choice, I said, but at the same time, I looked at what I was writing. And when you engage with what you're doing because you love what you're doing, even though the timing is really not great, you almost forget the hour because you're just so into it. And when you're so into it, even if you forget the hour, the minutes will pass, but you'll be able to spit it out much faster because you're into it. If you're not into it, then you need to back off a little bit See what you can do to build the motivation to make it happen. So again, know your limits, know your limitations, working through your limitations, studying them, tweaking them. You are your own experiment. Tweak your timing. I know my 45-minute limit, but it didn't start just by knowing. I learned it way back in earlier years, but I tested it and I analyzed it when I had no choice but to do all-nighters, and I knew the switch. So if you know your switch between when you know it's night and when your body knows it's night and your body knows it's day, if you know that, then you can narrow the gap. You can't do it all the time, of course. You need to have immune boosting foods as well to keep you going. A little bit of junk food if you feel like you want to give yourself a little treat, but too much sugar will make you crash. So you have to balance it as well. Know your limits. Understand your limits. Work through your limits. Bypass them, and you will succeed. If you have any questions or concerns or curiosities of how I managed to do these things, or if you have any questions about how you can do these things, bypassing your limits and understanding your own capacities, we can work through this together. Send me comments, send me questions. I'd love to respond to them and engage with you with them. This is Saul Aronovitch. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll speak again next week. Bye for now.